Hello and welcome to this lecture. We are going to discuss about in today's topic. We are going to discuss about design for manufacturability. Circuits can be optimized for manufacturability to increase their yield. This can be done in a number of different ways. First is physical. At the physical level, the yield and hence manufacturability can be improved by reducing the effect of process defects. The design rules for a particular process will frequently have guidelines for improving yield. The following list is the representative. First is increase the spacing between wires where possible. Okay, this reduces the chance of a defect causing a short circuit. Now, now you are designing a system, uh, and if you want to have if you want to avoid the short circuit condition, what you do, you have just the space between the wires so that they don't get shorted with each other. Increase the overlap of layers around contacts and wires. This reduces the chance that misalignment will cause an aberration in the contact structure. Okay, so increase the number of wires and wire intersection beyond one if possible. This reduces the chance of the defect causing an open circuit. So here we are talking about the manufacturability. So you have to see every possible things that we have discussed till now. So there may be a fault because of the short circuit, there may be fault because of the open circuit, and there may be fault of the misalignment as well. So you need to check at every stage, and you need to ensure that there should not be any fault. But when deciding these things that I just told you in the previous case, what is written over here, you can increase the space between wires where possible. So in every case you cannot increase the space, because if you increase the space, the area will be greater in case of your IC, and you do not want to increase the area of the IC because it certainly increases the power consumption as well. So a lot of things that we have to consider in our mind when we are designing a system. Redundancy. Redundant structures can be used to compensate for defective components on a chip. For example, memory arrays are commonly built with extra rows. During manufacturing test, if one of words is found to be defective, the memory can be configured to access the spare row instead. Laser cut wires or electrically programmable fuses can be used for configuration. Similarly, if the memory has many banks and one or more are found to be defective, they can be disabled, possibly even under software control. So this is how you check for the redundant structures, and redundant structures can replace the defective components on a chip. So we use the redundant bits as well in case of the test patterns. Okay, redundancy is always important. In case of the communication system, also redundant bit is used, to help the I mean transmitting and receiving the data through the codes. Now power. Elevated power can cause failure due to excess current in wires, which in turn can cause metal migration failures. In addition, high power devices raise the die temperature, degrading device performance, and over time it can cause the device parameter shifts. The method of dealing with these components of manufacturability is to minimize the power through design techniques described elsewhere in this text. In addition, a suitable package and heat sink should be chosen to remove the excess heat. So we already discussed about this power in case of first unit. If you remember, we discussed in detail about the power source in there. You can go back and check in lecture number 2 or 3, I think, of this particular section of this particular subject, VLSI testing. Process spread. We have seen the process simulation can be carried out at different process corners. Monte Carlo analysis can provide better modeling for process spread and can help with centering a design within the process variation. So process, we suppose point A is there and point B is there. So between point A and point B, lot of variations in the process can occur. So how the analysis can done? The Monte Carlo helps. The Monte Carlo analysis can help you to better understand that how your system is behaving. What is the process change? What is the process variation? from moving to point A to point B and from point B to point A. Okay. Yield analysis. When a chip has a poor yield or will be manufactured in high volume, dies that fail manufacturing test can be taken at a laboratory for yield analysis to locate the root cause of the failure. If particular structures are determined to have caused many of the failures, the layout of the structures can be redesigned. For example, during volume production ramp up for the Pentium microprocessor, the silicide over long thin polysilicon lines was found to crack and raise the wire resistance. This in turn led to slower than expected operation of the cracked chips. The layout was modified to widen polysilicon wires to strap them with metal whenever possible, boosting the yield at high frequencies. These are the methods, these are the ways that you can increase the yield and you can analyze the yield. We also discuss boundary scan in today's topic. Up to this point, we have concentrated on the methods of testing individual chips. So all the methods that we discussed, it is for individual chips. Many system defects occur at the board level, at the PCB level, at the IC, I mean at the motherboard level, including open or shorted printed circuit board traces and incomplete solder joints. You know, they may be there may be the faults. At the board level, bed of nails testers historically were used to test boards. In this type of testers, the board under test is lowered onto a set of test points that probe points of interest on the board. These can be sensed, I mean, obviously at the observable points, and driven, that is controllable points. Controllability and observability you will see in every aspect when you are talking about the testing and verification. To test the complete board. At the chassis level, software programs are frequently used to test a complete board set. For instance, when a computer boots, it might run a memory test on the installed memory to detect possible faults. It happens every time. You might have seen that in case of a laptop, suppose laptop suppose power failure is there. I mean, you have if you have not charged your battery and if it reaches to a critical point, and after that critical point it gets your system gets automatically turned off. And what you see when you reboots this, if the system reboots, then you see a message in case of your I mean desktop, that you want to resume the windows. And when you resume the windows, power failure check, this run for power failure check happens. It is inherently installed like that. And in case of the memory as well, if some error in memory is there, it will detect the error and it will display in case of the booting at the booting level itself. So the increasing complexity of boards and movement to technologies such as surface mount technologies, I mean with the absence of through board bias, resulted in system design system design engineers on a unified scan based methodology called boundary scan for testing chips at the board level. This is the example of boundary scan: chip A, chip B, chip C, chip D. Okay, so boundary scan was originally developed by the Joint Test Access Group, and hence it is commonly referred to as JTAG, Joint Test Access Group. So boundary scan has become a popular standard interface for controlling BIST features as well. So it is the key. Okay, so IEEE 1149 boundary scan architecture as shown in the figure here. All of the IO pins of each IC on the board are connected serially in a standardized scan chain, accessed through a test access port, that is known as the TAP, so that every pin can be observed and controlled remotely through the scan chain. At the board level, ICs obeying the standard can be connected in a series to form a scan chain spanning the entire board. The connections between ICs are tested by scanning values into the outputs of each chip and checking that those values are received at the inputs of the chips they drive. Moreover, chips with internal scan chains and BIST can access those features through boundary scan to provide a unified testing framework. Details of boundary scan properties can be see in this particular website. If you want to see, you can go and check the data there. Okay, so this is how the boundary scan architecture has been implemented. Okay, thank you for listening and watching.